Hey, good morning, my friends, and welcome to this day. Today, we are going to talk about the second of the 5 freedoms that entrepreneurs are always looking for. You're always looking for one of these 5 freedoms. Yesterday, we talked about financial freedom and what that means and the different levels of financial freedom. Today, we're going to talk about time freedom because that's probably the second most. Financial freedom is probably the most desired outcome, desired freedom for entrepreneurs. If it's not that, then it is probably time freedom. And the time freedom is the ability to do with your time as you choose to do with your time. You know, it's about how much you work, deciding for yourself how much you work, where you work, when you work. I have 3 daughters. One of them is off at college, so I don't have a lot of things that I do with her. But the other 2 are in various activities, right? One of them is an equestrian, and another one is a ballerina, dances with the Pacific Northwest Ballet. And right now she's prepping for the show Midsummer Night's Dream. And it's a lot of rehearsal time that she has to be there. And if I didn't work for myself, I would not have the time freedom to be able to go and do that and help and, drive her over there and drive her back. My wife's a teacher, so she can't leave her classroom just to drive around, right? So this gives me the freedom to be able to spend my time in the ways that are most profitable to me and to my family. One time when I was driving my daughter to her ballet class, she said to me, "Dad, I love your job because you get to take me to ballet. You get to come with me to ballet." And really what I was doing was I was driving her down to Bellevue. It was a half-hour drive. And then I sat in Bellevue and worked while she was in class, because they don't allow you to watch the classes in the Pacific Northwest Ballet. It's very strict. And then I drove her home. But to her, that was precious time. And to me, it is too. It's time that we can sit in the car and, we put in the Disneyland audio music and listen to Disneyland, or we talk about her day or what she's learned, the new steps she's working on for the rehearsal for the Midsummer Night's Dream. Whatever it is, it's time that I get to spend with her that if I was working a 9 to 5 and had to be at my 9 to 5 job because it's 9 and it's 5, I wouldn't be able to do. I remember those days of working 9 to 5, and it sucked. I hate inefficiency, and for me, there would be times, as I bet there are for you, there are times where you are sitting at your desk, or standing at your desk, if it's a stand-up workstation, as mine was, and there's nothing really important to be doing. There's no freaking reason that you're there, except for it's between the hours of 9 and 5. And if you're not there between 9 and 5, then you're slacking. But if you've got the work all done, what's more important, right? Productivity or trading time for dollars? And that's the worst thing, trading time for dollars. So when you do become an entrepreneur, please don't go and become a time for money person, right? If you are doing, if you're doing freelance work and you're charging by the hour, you just put yourself back in that same hole, just with a little bit of different surroundings. You can maybe have time between gigs to have freedom. But if you bid a job by value-based pricing, it's a whole different thing we can talk about, then you're able to set your own time schedule because you are producing the work or not producing the work. It's really important that we think about this one. This is an aspect, like I said, is probably number 2 for entrepreneurs in the 5 freedoms: financial freedom, time freedom, place freedom, customer freedom, and process freedom. And it's probably number 2 because it's the only thing that you can't get more of. Time is the only thing you can't buy more of. And that's really important to think about when you are standing at that desk or sitting at your desk or sitting in that meeting, for gosh sake, doing nothing, achieving nothing, but sitting there and wasting the precious time that you could be spending yourself the way you want to do it, right? When I have downtime in my job here working for myself, I'm like reading books that I'm interested in, learning more about business because I geek out that way. Or I'm doing my own creative work. I get the time to do the things that I can do. So trading time for money is super bad. And in business, you want to not, you don't want to be trade time for money. You want business that scales. And what does scale mean? Business that scales is one of two things. Either, I could write it on the whiteboard, but it'll be funny looking because it's backwards. Time is either, time for money is either flat, right? So I'm sorry, not time for money. When you are not trading time for money, it's either flat or it's at an upward curve by the number of customers. Right? So either the amount of time and work, the effort you have to put in, either remains the same, like no matter how many people I add to it, or the time remains the same, but the value goes up. The value that they get out of it goes up by the number of people that are in it. So in an example of that, you're like, what? How does that work? How do they get more value when there's more people? Just think about social media. Think about the telephone, right? The first telephone was kind of useless, right? Because I have one phone. Hello. There's nobody on the other line. It becomes powerful and a useful tool when you have more people on it. But that doesn't mean you have to charge more for your service, or it just means you're making more, right? I can charge the same amount. I put in the same amount of effort and time, but I'm making more money because there's more people on the network. Does that make sense? It really is the difference between heaven and hell. You know, working that 9-to-5 job, having to ask permission to go on vacation or to go to one of my kids' school outings. I'm sorry, I have to ask your permission? How old am I? 50-year-old is going to be asking permission from whoever to do what I know is important. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, you can go to do whatever you want to do. You can do volunteer work in your community. You can, like I said, read a book on things that interest you. You can take vacation and go to school events whenever you want to. You are free, time freedom. And you're able to pursue your dreams, able to pursue the things that you want to pursue. I love my job. I love coaching people, but there's other things that I'd like to do too. I'm also an artist, a painter. I'm looking across the room at some of my paintings. Let me grab one. I'll show you. Can you see this? Sort of. So this is a painting that I did of one of my daughters riding a horse. So there's her body and the horse legs and the tail. I did this probably 20 years ago. And I had a show, and it was great because I'm able to not have to trade time for money. I have that time freedom. And that's really what I want for you, for everybody that I work with, is to be able to get out of the time trap. I know people who work, even on their own business, they work 70 hours a week. And you don't have to do that, right? My mission in my career and in my life is to help entrepreneurs like you get out of overwhelm and get into flow. Get into that point where you're doing what you love doing. Thank you for the heart. You're able to get out of overwhelm and into flow, into being able to love what you're doing when you're doing it. When I'm coaching, there's this feeling that comes over me that is just ethereal. I can't describe it, but I know it feels so good, and I know that I'm doing what I'm designed to do, and I love it. And you have that in your business too, I'm sure. You have this feeling, and you know exactly. Good morning, Mia. Well, it's morning here. You know exactly what it is that you're doing, and that you're doing the right thing at the time, and that's what it means, right? This is the second of the 5 freedoms. Financial freedom, time freedom is the one we're talking about today. Place freedom, customer freedom, and process freedom are the ones we'll talk about later in the week. But, if you are desiring to get that, if you're an entrepreneur and you are in overwhelm, because often this is what happens. An entrepreneur will build their business to the point where they've got it going and it's making the money, but you've gotten to the point where you don't do this, right? It's this or it's down, actually. The more people you get, the less value you are able to provide because you don't have the time, because you haven't built a scalable business. Oftentimes, part of that is due to the systems model that you've got in place. Some of the systems that you have that make things work. Afternoon in Sweden. So my work is around helping entrepreneurs like you get out of that overwhelm and into flow by implementing systems and great leadership. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, give me a call and we'll just talk for a couple minutes, or we can set up a strategy call, even go deep fast and take a 90-minute strategy session, which would be really fun. So that's what I wanted to tell you about today, was that the idea of time freedom. Tomorrow we'll talk about place freedom and the freedom to be able to work wherever you want, which is another incredible freedom that comes along with being an entrepreneur, that's possible to come along with being an entrepreneur, as long as you design the business correctly. All right. I love you all. Thank you. Thank you, Mia. Good afternoon in Sweden. Bye-bye.